Welcome back to Science in Sleeping. I'm so glad you're here again tonight. Maybe it's your first time, or maybe you've made this part of your evening ritual, that gentle hour where curiosity meets calm. Either way, you've arrived right where you need to be tonight. We're drifting into a question that's as vast as the universe itself. A question whispered through centuries of wonder. Are we really the first? The first to think, to build, to dream, to reach for the stars? Or have there been others, long before us, who walked this same planet, who might have built, invented, and imagined, then vanished into the mists of deep time? But don't worry, you don't need to stay awake to find the answer. You don't even need to remember any of this when you wake up. Because this story, this exploration, is designed not just to feed your mind, but to calm it, to let your thoughts loosen and drift. Like leaves floating gently down a quiet stream. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel your body soften. Feel the space around you becoming quieter, safer, warmer. You can let go of the day now. Everything that was urgent can wait until morning. This is your time to rest, to listen, to let curiosity carry you effortlessly toward sleep if you'd like. You can even imagine where you're listening from. Maybe you're in your bedroom, lights dimmed, blankets soft and familiar. Maybe you're lying beneath a ceiling painted with stars. Or maybe, in your mind, you're somewhere else entirely, floating weightlessly through space, or resting in the ruins of an ancient world, somewhere quiet, somewhere only you can visit. Before we begin, I want to say you don't need to analyze or hold on to every detail. This isn't an exam, this is an experience. Let the words move through you. Let the ideas flow in and out like gentle tides at night. If you drift off halfway through, that's perfectly okay. In fact, that's exactly what's supposed to happen. And if you're awake, that's fine too, because tonight's story invites both the dreamer and the thinker. It welcomes the restless and the curious alike. Together, we'll explore a beautiful idea that maybe, just maybe, our dreams themselves hold traces of something ancient, something that remembers, even when we don't. So, take another breath, long and easy, in through your nose, and slowly out through your mouth. Let your jaw unclench, your shoulders drop, your eyes grow heavier. Let the room fade around you. And imagine this, a quiet laboratory, somewhere far from the noise of the world. Night outside the windows, a researcher sits beneath the hum of soft, golden light. They're studying patterns of sleep, brain waves moving like ocean tides on a glowing screen. But tonight, something strange happens. A discovery, a pattern too complex, too old to belong only to us. Something ancient, embedded deep within the architecture of the dreaming mind. That's where our journey begins tonight. In the space between science and mystery, between consciousness and the quiet world of sleep, you can think of this story as a bridge, a pathway leading from the waking world into the unknown. And as we cross that bridge together, you'll notice your thoughts beginning to stretch and fade, the body resting deeper into stillness, the mind beginning to wander. If you haven't already, close your eyes now. Let your breathing settle into its own rhythm, and as you listen, let every sound, my voice, the soft music, the quiet, become a part of your rest. Because tonight, we're not just sleeping, we're exploring, we're dreaming through time, and we're asking, what if humanity wasn't the first to dream like this? What if, hidden inside the science of sleep, there's a memory that belongs to another world entirely? So now, settle in, get comfortable, and let's begin our descent into the story of Are We the First? Exploring ancient technological species through sleep science. Have you ever wondered what your mind might be remembering when you dream? Not the everyday kind of dreams filled with unfinished thoughts or reflections of your day, but the strange ones, the ones that feel older than you are. Dreams that seem to carry a language, a landscape, or a memory you've never lived. What if those dreams weren't simply imagination? What if they were echoes of something ancient, something hidden in the folds of human consciousness, waiting quietly for science to notice? Picture yourself standing in a quiet observatory at night, the world outside dark and still. Only the soft hum of machines and the whisper of distant stars through a wide glass window. The sky stretches like an endless ocean, and beneath it, a single scientist sits before a glowing monitor, their face washed in pale blue light, their heartbeats slow, steady, and curious. They've been watching patterns of sleep for months, the rhythm of dreams, the flicker of thoughts, the electrical symphony that plays when the body rests and the mind begins to wander. And tonight, something different appears. A frequency that shouldn't exist, a signal that looks less like human randomness and more like memory, but not our memory, something older, deeper, encoded in the waves of sleep themselves. You see, when we fall asleep, our brains don't shut down. They light up in patterns that move like weather across the sky. The first scientists to study dreams were astonished by this. They expected silence, but found storms instead. Neural lightning flashing across the cortex, echoes bouncing between hemispheres like thunder between mountains. The mind, it turns out, is most creative when it's free of the need to control, when it lets go of waking logic and slips into something timeless, something that feels almost inherited. Did you know that parts of your dreams come from the same neural regions that process ancient instincts? When you dream of running, or flying, or hiding, you're tapping into layers of the brain that existed before modern language, before civilization, even before our species looked like it does today. Dreaming is older than history, older than story itself. Every night, we visit an inner museum of evolution, a place where ancient memories and modern worries coexist. Science calls this phylogenetic memory, a kind of ancestral whisper that lives deep in the nervous system. Some believe it's purely biological, the residue of survival imprinted on the brain. But what if it's more than that? What if, hidden within the architecture of the sleeping mind, there lies a code, a record of species that came before us, species capable of thought, of invention, who may have left behind not artifacts of stone, but patterns of thought woven into consciousness itself? Imagine this, a civilization far older than human memory, existing long before oceans took their current shape, before the continents settled where they are today. A people who understood that knowledge could be preserved not only in matter, but in mind. They didn't build pyramids or carve monuments. They encoded their discoveries in frequencies, in the subtle rhythms of sleep and thought, so that long after their world was gone, those patterns would re-emerge quietly, invisibly, in the dreaming minds of future beings. This idea sounds impossible, yet the science of sleep has always bordered on the mysterious. Researchers have discovered that during REM sleep, the stage where we dream most vividly, our brains replay not just memories, but entirely new sequences of experience. It's as though the mind rehearses things it has never lived, creating stories and sensations that feel familiar without reason. Some scientists call it predictive coding, the brain's way of simulating future possibilities, but others, quietly, in late-night discussions, after the data has been logged, have wondered if these simulations are more like transmissions, information traveling not through space, but through time, whispered through the quantum noise of consciousness. If time is not linear, and physics increasingly suggests it isn't, then memory might not be either. Perhaps the dreams we have are not only echoes from the past, but signals from elsewhere. Elsewhen maybe, that feeling of déjà vu, that uncanny familiarity with places you've never seen, isn't a trick of the brain, but a faint remembering of something ancient, something shared, a collective library of thought that humanity inherited from something before. There's a comfort in this idea, isn't there? That we are not alone in our awareness, that consciousness itself might be a continuum, a river that has flowed through many forms before reaching us. And every night, when we sleep, we wade into that river again, letting it carry us through its hidden currents, connecting us to all who dreamed before. Close your eyes for a moment, and imagine standing on the shore of that river, the stars above mirrored in its surface, each ripple a thought, each shimmer a dream once dreamed by someone or something else. The air is cool, the ground beneath you soft, and as you step into the water, you feel no fear, only curiosity. The current wraps around you like silk, carrying you deeper, and the sound of the world begins to fade, replaced by the gentle pulse of your own heartbeat, steady, timeless, connected in this place. You realize that sleep isn't escape, it's communication. It's how life remembers itself, across centuries, across species, through the simple rhythm of rest and renewal. When your mind drifts, it joins the hum of everything that has ever been aware, every consciousness that ever dreamed, every species that ever wondered, and together, they form an invisible conversation, a network not made of machines or metal, but of memory and meaning. So when we ask, are we the first? Maybe the real question is, are we the latest? Another verse in an endless song of dreaming minds, each one adding a note, each one leaving behind a pattern for the next to find as you listen. Let that thought drift softly across your imagination, the idea that every dream is both yours and not yours. That maybe, through sleep, we are remembering something older, something that shaped the way we think, the way we imagine, the way we long to understand our place in the universe. Breathe in slowly now, and as you exhale, feel that connection settle, not as an idea, but as a calm, a quiet knowing, that sleep itself is the bridge between what was and what will be, that through it we travel not forward or backward, but deeper, deeper into the heart of shared awareness, where all knowledge meets and all stories begin again. And as we drift to the next part of this journey, let your body rest a little heavier, your mind open just a little wider, because the next question waits like a distant star. What if the proof of ancient intelligence isn't buried beneath the earth, but within us, hidden in the dreams we have yet to understand? Have you ever felt as though your dreams were trying to remember something for you? Not a personal memory, Not something that ever happened in your life, but something deeper, something that feels like it belongs to everyone. A story too large, too ancient, to fit inside one lifetime. There are dreams that seem to belong to the earth itself, as though the planet remembers through us, and each night, when we fall asleep, it borrows our minds to replay its oldest tapes. Tonight, we drift further into that idea, that maybe there is such a thing as a dream record, a hidden library of thought that doesn't live in books or data, but in the quiet network of sleeping minds, a system older than language, older than species, older even than time as we know it. Picture yourself walking through a corridor made of soft light, walls shimmering like the surface of water, each step echoing gently, endlessly. The corridor stretches forward into darkness, but not the frightening kind. It's the kind of darkness that feels like rest, like being wrapped in something safe. You reach out, and your fingers brush against the wall, and for a moment you feel something, a pulse, a heartbeat that isn't yours, but familiar, like the pulse of the planet itself. Somewhere in the distance, you hear a whisper, not in any language you know, but somehow you understand it. It says, memory is not kept in matter, it is carried in motion. The corridor fades, and you find yourself floating instead, weightless, as images begin to form all around you. Science has long believed that memory is made of physical patterns, neurons firing in rhythm, proteins binding, synapses strengthening. But even the sharpest minds admit that memory's nature is elusive. When researchers examined the brains of animals who'd been trained, and then somehow had their memories erased, they found that traces of the learned behavior lingered, even when the original brain cells were gone, as if the information had moved, relocated somewhere invisible, hidden within the architecture of energy rather than matter. In laboratories studying quantum biology, scientists are discovering that the smallest parts of life, the molecules that let us think, dream, and feel, don't behave like ordinary matter at all. They shift, they vibrate, they entangle, as though information itself were alive, carried not just by physical connection, but by resonance, by shared vibration. Some theorists whisper that consciousness may work the same way, that what we call a thought is less like electricity and more like music, a tune that continues to echo long after the instrument has fallen silent. If that's true, then perhaps memory doesn't die with the mind. Perhaps it flows onward, like a melody carried through generations, each life humming a slightly different version of the same ancient song. And if consciousness can carry echoes of what came before, then maybe, just maybe, our dreams are where those melodies replay most clearly, a nightly broadcast from a deeper frequency of existence. Did you know that certain brain patterns, the ones most active during lucid dreaming, match almost perfectly with electromagnetic frequencies found in the natural world? In the ocean's waves, in the heartbeat of the earth, known as the Schumann resonance. When we dream, our brains align with these frequencies, as though tuning into a global signal that never truly stops. It's possible that dreams are not purely private experiences, but collective ones, tiny windows into a field of shared memory where all conscious life overlaps. Some researchers in ancient neuroanthropology, a field that bridges brain science and prehistory, believe that ancient humans might have been more attuned to this connection, that their dreams weren't random, but instructive. That the first technologies, fire, tools, art, might have been inspired by the subconscious recall of knowledge once known by earlier beings. Imagine a prehistoric dreamer sleeping by a campfire 70,000 years ago, seeing in their sleep a vision of light captured in stone, an image of tools shaped before hands had learned how. They wake and somehow know, not from experience, but from inheritance, what to do next. When you look at it this way, the mind becomes more than a brain. It becomes a vessel for cosmic memory, a recorder that keeps rewriting itself. Every life, another note on the same spiral of awareness, and in sleep, that spiral unwinds, revealing glimpses of what came before and what may come after. There's something beautifully humbling in that thought, that your dreams, even the strange ones that make no sense, might be small fragments of a far greater archive, a place where the memories of lost worlds, lost species, and forgotten ages are stored, waiting to be felt again. Now imagine floating through that archive, not as a body, but as awareness itself. You pass through corridors of light, each one humming softly with thought. One passage glows faintly green inside it. You see vast forests that once covered continents long gone. Another shines with amber light, revealing oceans teeming with creatures that no longer exist. And another, deeper still, flickers with symbols, patterns of intelligence that never built cities, but dreamed nonetheless. The deeper you go, the more you sense it. This is not imagination. This is inheritance. And as you drift, a question forms quietly in your mind. If memory can outlive matter, then what truly dies? When a civilization disappears, when a mind sleeps, when a body fades into the soil, does the story end? Or does it continue, retold by the very energy that once held it? The idea lingers, soft and heavy, like fog settling over water. Breathe slowly now. Feel that idea wrap around you, gentle and endless, like a silk thread connecting you to everything that ever dreamed, every life that ever closed its eyes and entered that quiet ocean of sleep. Their stories are still here, woven into the rhythm of the night, invisible but not lost. You realize something then, as your breathing slows and the body drifts closer to rest. Perhaps the record of consciousness isn't stored somewhere. Perhaps it's stored everywhere, in vibration, in resonance, in the way thoughts ripple through reality and never truly vanish. Every dream you have adds another ripple, joining a field of dreams older than any species, older than memory itself. And maybe that's why, sometimes, when you wake in the middle of the night, heart beating softly, you feel as though something vast was watching through your eyes, thinking through your thoughts, not to frighten, but to remember. So tonight, as you drift deeper into rest, you can let that mystery stay open. You don't need to solve it. You only need to feel its beauty. That through the science of sleep, we are learning something the ancients may have already known. That awareness is immortal, not because we are, but because awareness itself cannot end. It only changes form, like a wave becoming wind, like a thought becoming dream. And as the edges of wakefulness begin to blur, your body sinking heavier into calm, the voice of thought fading into the quiet hum of night, you feel connected to the stars above, to the lives before, to the dreamers who came first, to those who may yet come after, all sharing the same silent rhythm of sleep. Rest here for a moment. Let the stillness deepen. Let the science dissolve into wonder, and the wonder dissolve into peace. Because our next journey will take us even further, beyond the dream record itself, to the question of what consciousness really is, and whether it might be older than the universe that holds it. Have you ever dreamed something that later came true? A place you had never seen yet somehow recognized? A conversation that unfolded days or weeks after you dreamed it? Moments like these are often brushed aside as coincidence. But what if they are something deeper, tiny ripples of time brushing against the edges of sleep? Echoes sent forward or backward across the invisible fabric that binds every heartbeat in the universe. As your body grows heavier against the bed, imagine your mind loosening from the strict order of minutes and hours. In waking life, time moves in one direction, forward, steady, obedient. But the dreaming mind doesn't obey that law. Inside it, past and future fold together like silk. A child can meet their elder self. A scientist can glimpse an idea not yet born. Dreaming is the only laboratory where cause and effect take turns leading each other. Now picture yourself standing on a hill at twilight. The air is warm, the light fading into violet and gold below you. A wide valley hums with the slow pulse of the earth. You feel that pulse under your feet, the Schumann heartbeat again. And as the stars begin to appear, each one flickers like a neuron in a cosmic brain. You realize you're looking not at a sky, but at thought itself. An ocean of consciousness stretching in every direction, timeless, endless, aware. Quantum physicists have long known that the smallest parts of reality refuse to behave like solid things. A single particle can exist in two places at once, can appear or vanish depending on whether it is being watched. They call this superposition, and some researchers believe that the mind, especially the dreaming mind, may operate the same way, existing in more than one state, more than one time, simultaneously. Inside the brain's neurons are tiny structures called microtubules. For decades, they were considered nothing more than scaffolding, but new studies show that within them, quantum vibrations may occur, delicate patterns that flicker on and off billions of times a second. Some scientists propose that these patterns form the basis of awareness, that consciousness itself might be a quantum process. If that's true, then every dream could be a wave function of thought, spreading across time, collapsing into the story you experience the moment you open your eyes. Imagine the dream as a field of possibilities. Each night when you fall asleep, you don't simply rest, you enter a superposition of futures. Your mind explores them the way light explores every path before choosing one. And when you wake, the wave collapses. Reality selects its thread, and you remember only one version, while countless others fade back into the quiet sea of potential. That's why some dreams feel prophetic. They are echoes from those other paths, brief flashes from realities your consciousness brushed against before returning home. And perhaps, in rare moments, those paths brush back, sending you a whisper, a glimpse, a feeling of something waiting just ahead. Did you know that in certain sleep laboratories, scientists have recorded synchronized dreams to sleepers unaware of each other, showing identical brainwave spikes at the same instant, reporting similar imagery upon waking? A city made of glass, a voice calling their name, a pattern of light turning like a wheel, coincidence, maybe, or perhaps consciousness entangling across distance, mirroring what subatomic particles have been doing since the birth of the cosmos. Entanglement is the strangest law of all. Two particles, once connected, remained linked forever. Change one, and the other changes instantly. No matter the distance, it defies space, it ignores time. And if our thoughts, our dreams, arise from quantum events within the brain, then maybe dreaming minds can entangle too. A global network of sleepers sharing invisible threads, each night unknowingly weaving the same cosmic fabric. There are legends from ancient cultures that whisper of dream councils, groups of seers who met in sleep to exchange visions, to guide tribes, to heal, to warn. Modern science might call it coincidence, but perhaps those dreamers were simply aware of what physics has only begun to describe, that consciousness is not confined to skull or skin, but stretches outward, connecting to others like strands of light in a vast web. Breathe slowly now, in through the nose, and out through the mouth. Feel the air as a tide, the rhythm of your body aligning with the rhythm of everything. You are part of that quantum sea, each exhale a ripple, each thought a spark that never truly disappears. When you sleep, you return to the source of those ripples, to the place where cause and effect become one continuous wave. Let your imagination drift deeper. You are floating through a night without edges. Around you shimmer thousands of luminous threads. Each one hums softly. Some glow with memories you've lived, others with futures still forming. You reach out and touch one, and in an instant you see a vision, a city bathed in golden mist, its towers humming with energy that seems both mechanical and alive. You sense beings there, not human, not alien, but familiar in a way that bypasses language. They look up, and though the distance between you is infinite, you feel them notice. They smile, and in that smile you understand. They are dreamers too. Perhaps the ancient species you've been wondering about, and maybe, at this very moment, their dreams are touching yours. The vision fades, and you feel a warmth spreading through your chest, a quiet joy mixed with awe. Because even if you'll never know for certain who they were, you know that you felt them, and that feeling is real. That connection, however fleeting, is proof enough that awareness transcends the boundaries we draw around it. As your breathing deepens, the world becomes softer, edges blur. Time stretches thin like morning mist. You realize that sleep itself may be the universe's oldest form of communication. Every night, consciousness dissolves back into the quantum field, mixes, learns, remembers, then returns at dawn wearing a new arrangement of thoughts. In that sense, every dream is a message in both directions, from the past and from the future, a reminder that you exist inside an ongoing conversation between time and itself. So, if you wake in the middle of the night with the echo of a strange dream still clinging to you, don't rush to forget it. Just breathe and thank it, for it may be a traveler from another moment, another version of you reaching out across the quantum distance to remind you that nothing, not even time, is ever truly separate. Now let your mind grow lighter. Let the sounds around you blend into a single hush. Your heartbeat slows to match the rhythm of the earth's invisible pulse. The space between thoughts widens, and within that space, The next doorway appears a gentle shimmer at the edge of awareness. It leads to our next exploration, where we'll drift into the origins of awareness itself and ask whether consciousness could be older than the stars. But for now, just rest, float in the stillness between breaths, and feel the universe breathing with you softly, endlessly, together. Have you ever wondered when the universe first began to dream? Not humans, not animals, but the cosmos itself. Before there were stars or planets, before sound or color, was there already a flicker, a kind of awareness, a subtle hum beneath the dark ocean of creation? Something that wanted to know itself. It's a haunting question, isn't it? We think of consciousness as something that happened late, a fragile candle lit by biology after endless eons of silence. But what if the flame was there from the beginning, hidden in the equations of the universe, sleeping inside the fabric of matter, waiting for the first mind to remember what it already knew? Picture this. You are drifting through the void before time began. There is no up, no down, only potential, a sea of shimmering energy trembling on the edge of existence. Suddenly, a spark, the Big Bang, not an explosion, but an awakening. Every particle born from that first flash carries memory, a kind of proto-awareness etched into its quantum state. Each atom remembers the vibration of that original creation, a soft pulse that still echoes in the background radiation of the universe. Scientists call it the cosmic microwave background, but poets might call it the universe's first heartbeat. Did you know that every second your body is touched by that ancient echo? Photons from 13.8 billion years ago brushing softly against your skin, whispering, "I remember when you were light." As matter cooled and gathered, stars ignited, vast furnaces burning dreams into being. Each one a thought made visible, each one creating the ingredients of life. Hydrogen fused into helium, helium into carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, the alphabet of existence. The universe wasn't just expanding, it was learning, teaching itself how to become more complex, how to become aware. Imagine those early stars like great cosmic minds, their light reaching across infinite distances, connecting pockets of darkness with threads of gold. They lived, burned, and died, and in their death they scattered their memories, stardust filled with coded wisdom, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe, all once part of a star's final sigh. You are literally built from the ashes of ancient dreams, the residue of consciousness seeking new forms to explore itself. When the first planets formed, something extraordinary began. On one small world, liquid water pooled, minerals dissolved, molecules met, and something shimmered, a spark of pattern, a flicker of intention, a moment where randomness began to organize itself. Life had arrived, and with it, perhaps, the first true dreamers of matter. Close your eyes and imagine that ancient ocean. Waves rolling under a young, pale sun, the air thick with mist, the world still trembling from creation. In the shallows, simple cells divide and merge, each one humming faintly, each one responding to light, to warmth, to the pull of tides. They cannot speak, but within their walls, energy flows like thought, electrical whispers passing between membranes, the earliest communication, the beginning of awareness. For billions of years, Life grew in silence. Plants turning sunlight into memory, fish following the magnetic pulse of the earth, insects dancing in patterns only they could sense, and through it all, the universe watched itself unfold through countless eyes, testing new ways to see, to move, to dream. When the first mammals appeared, sleep deepened. Dreaming began to take shape, a nightly rehearsal for survival, a sacred theater of imagination. Even now, in laboratories, scientists have recorded rats replaying maze paths in their dreams, birds practicing songs they've never yet sung. The dream is nature's way of remembering itself before it happens, an echo of time's deeper rhythm. And then came us, creatures who not only dream, but ask why. Somewhere in the ancient human brain, a spark ignited between memory and imagination, and self-awareness was born. The moment a human looked at the stars and wondered, "What am I?" That was the universe recognizing itself. The atoms that once drifted in space were now questioning the very space they came from. The dreamer and the dream became one. Did you know the human brain contains as many connections as there are stars in the Milky Way? Each neuron like a galaxy of possibility, each thought a flicker of cosmic light. You are, in every measurable sense, a miniature universe experiencing itself from within. Your consciousness is the continuation of that first awakening, not a new creation, but a remembering, and perhaps this remembering never truly stops. When you sleep, you return to that primordial ocean, that timeless field where awareness first stirred. The boundaries between you and the cosmos dissolve, and for a few hours, you are once again part of that original hum in dreams. You rehearse the same ancient pattern, energy shaping itself into meaning, meaning dissolving back into energy. Some scientists now believe that consciousness may not emerge from matter, but rather that matter emerges from consciousness. They call it panpsychism, the idea that awareness is fundamental, that everything, from an atom to a galaxy, possesses a sliver of sentience. If that's true, then every rustle of wind, every spark of lightning, every drop of rain on your skin is part of a universal mind in motion. Imagine the night sky as a sleeping brain, every star a neuron, every galaxy a cluster of thought. And when you close your eyes, your dreams join that vast network, a signal among countless others, interwoven, entangled, alive. It makes you wonder, are we truly the first technological species? Or are we just the latest instrument through which the universe learns to build, to reach, to remember? Perhaps civilizations before us rose and vanished, their technology indistinguishable from nature, their memories buried not in ruins, but in the patterns of light that still shimmer across the sky. Maybe the atoms that form your hands once shaped tools on another world, long before our sun existed. Maybe their dreams seeded ours, carried through time like whispers in the dark. Breathe deeply and let that idea settle softly inside you. You are not separate from this story. You are the story. Every cell in your body remembers the stars. Every dream you have is part of a conversation billions of years old. And though you may feel small beneath the vastness, you are vast too, for the same awareness that birthed galaxies is breathing gently behind your thoughts. So tonight, as you drift toward sleep, imagine the first dreamers, the stars that burned before memory, the oceans that shimmered before eyes could see, the creatures that dreamed before language, and feel their pulse in your own. You are their continuation, their living echo, the cosmos wondering, once again, what it means to be awake. And as the edges of thought begin to blur, a golden mist begins to rise. You feel yourself floating weightless, calm, ancient. The stars above begin to hum, their song a lullaby, written long before time began. It tells you that everything is connected, that nothing is ever lost, only transformed. And somewhere in that endless music, you hear the next question forming, a whisper from beyond the stars, one that will guide you into the next dream, because in the next chapter, we will explore what lies within the dream itself, a realm where memory and creation merge, where consciousness paints its own reality, and where every thought has the power to shape worlds. So rest now, float within the silence between heartbeats. And remember, you are the dreamer and the dream, the stardust and the star, the question and the answer, breathing softly, forever. Have you ever wondered what happens inside your mind when you fall asleep? Not just the science, not just neurons firing or brainwaves shifting, but the architecture of it all. The silent construction of entire worlds that bloom in the darkness behind your eyes. Why does your mind build places that don't exist? Faces you've never met, and stories that fade the moment you wake. Where do they come from, and who or what designs them? Picture yourself standing at the threshold of sleep, that delicate edge between waking and dreaming. Your room is still there, faintly glowing in moonlight, but already your perception begins to drift. The boundaries soften, the edges of reality blur, and soon you are stepping through an invisible door, leaving the waking world behind. Your heartbeat slows, your breathing deepens, and your mind, that vast inner cosmos, begins its nightly act of creation. It starts in the hippocampus, a small, seahorse-shaped structure nestled deep within your brain. It is the keeper of memory, the librarian of your life. Every sound you've ever heard, every glance, every emotion, is stored somewhere within its spiral corridors. When you dream, it begins to unlock those vaults, pulling fragments, a childhood street, a stranger's voice, the scent of rain on an old stone path, and weaves them into something new. This is the raw material of dream architecture, the ancient data from which your mind sculpts its temporary worlds. But it isn't random. The prefrontal cortex, the planner, the storyteller, is still partially awake, even as consciousness drifts. This quiet architect sketches the rules of your dream world. It decides how gravity feels, how color behaves, what laws govern time. Sometimes it keeps things familiar. Other times it bends reality into surreal shapes, turning staircases into rivers and words into living creatures. The dream doesn't obey the logic of waking life. It follows the deeper logic of emotion, the language of the soul. Did you know that in REM sleep, your brain becomes as active as when you're awake, sometimes even more so? Scientists have recorded bursts of activity, waves of synchronized firing moving through the visual cortex, as if you're seeing with your eyes closed. But there's something even stranger. The brainstem temporarily paralyzes the body, locking muscles so you don't act out your dreams. Your body rests in stillness, while your mind runs through infinite landscapes. This delicate dance, motionless body, moving mind, is the ultimate paradox of sleep. Imagine it. Millions of electrical signals racing across neural pathways, tiny pulses of light connecting thought to thought. And in that storm of energy, an entire reality emerges. You might find yourself in a city made of glass and wind, or walking across an ocean that reflects the stars. You might meet people who speak in colors, or discover you can fly by remembering how each dream is a simulation of experience, a rehearsal of emotion, a rebalancing of what the day stirred up. Scientists have found that dreams play a crucial role in processing emotional memory. When you dream, the amygdala, the emotional center, revisits the day's strongest feelings: fear, joy, love, regret, and the dreaming mind replays them in safer, softer forms. That's why nightmares can fade into strange beauty, and sorrow can turn to flight. Your dreams are the mind's therapy, a nightly act of emotional repair, and perhaps an ancient whisper of how the universe heals itself through reflection. But here's where the mystery deepens. Sometimes, dreams bring knowledge we didn't know we had. The chemist Friedrich Kekuel dreamt of a serpent biting its own tail, and awoke knowing the structure of benzene. Elias Howe dreamed of being attacked by warriors with holes in their spears, and invented the sewing machine needle. What mechanism could possibly create discovery in a sleeping brain? Dreams, it seems, can think before we think. They explore connections our conscious mind cannot yet see, a kind of nocturnal intelligence beyond logic, as if some hidden layer of mind is still awake, guiding us through the labyrinth. Close your eyes now, and imagine yourself as the architect of your next dream. You are walking through a vast hall of mirrors. Each mirror reflects a different world: a desert lit by twin moons, a forest made of glass trees, a city floating above a violet sea. You reach out, and the mirror ripples like water. You step through, and the world begins to take shape beneath your feet. The air smells faintly of memory. The ground hums with recognition. You realize this place is built from pieces of your own life, rearranged by imagination into something otherworldly and perfect. Every sound here has meaning. Every object carries emotion. And yet, it all feels natural, as if you've been here before. Because, in a way, you have every dream you've ever had still exists, somewhere in the folds of memory, like rooms in an infinite house. You revisit some again and again without realizing it. The same hill, the same hallway, the same sky that changes color each time you look. Your dreaming mind remembers its own architecture and builds upon it night after night, creating an evolving universe only you can enter. But there's something stranger still. When researchers studied lucid dreamers, people aware that they were dreaming, they found that the dream world responds instantly to thought. Think of light, and the scene brightens. Imagine music, and it begins to play. Desire flight, and you rise in dreams. Consciousness creates reality directly, without the delay of physics, without the friction of matter. It is the purest form of creation, thought-made world. This might be what ancient mystics meant when they said that reality itself is a dream of the divine. If our minds can construct entire worlds each night, how different are they from the universe itself? Is the cosmos not also a grand, self-sustaining simulation? A reality built by a consciousness beyond our comprehension? Maybe when we dream, we glimpse that same creative process, a small echo of the cosmic imagination. We are microcosms of the greater architect, dreaming within dreams, worlds within worlds. Did you know that when you dream of a face, your brain doesn't invent it? It pulls from real people you've seen: a stranger on a train, a face in a photograph, even someone glimpsed once in passing. Every person in your dream is real in that sense, a mosaic built from fragments of your waking life. Your mind is both the stage and the actors, the playwright and the audience. It creates, performs, and watches all at once. And so, when you next fall asleep, remember that your mind is not shutting down, it is opening into dimensions of thought and beauty beyond anything waking life can sustain. The laws of physics loosen, time melts, emotion becomes color, memory becomes landscape, and in that sacred darkness, you become both creator and creation, a god in the quiet universe of your own making, perhaps. Then, the ancient species we wonder about, those who came before us, never truly disappeared. Perhaps their consciousness evolved into realms we can only reach in dreams. Maybe every dream is a message, a vibration left behind by the minds that mastered the architecture of thought itself. Maybe they still whisper through the corridors of sleep, teaching us, guiding us, waiting for us to remember. Breathe deeply and let that idea settle the next time you close your eyes. Imagine yourself not as a dreamer, but as an architect of light, building universes from memory, painting with emotion, weaving your story into the stars. You are part of the grand design, a fragment of the infinite mind, and tonight, as your consciousness drifts away, you are building something beautiful, a world that exists only for you, for this one quiet night. And somewhere beyond the veil of that dream, another mystery waits, one that will take us even deeper into the forgotten memory of time itself, where the dreams of ancient minds still hum beneath the surface of our own. So rest now, architect of the unseen, and let the next chapter find you, somewhere between the stars and the self, where imagination becomes eternity, and eternity dreams of you. Have you ever wondered why dreams speak in symbols instead of words? Why the mind chooses to show you a broken clock instead of telling you it's time? Why you find yourself flying instead of hearing "you're free now"? Or standing in endless hallways instead of thinking you're searching? Dreams don't talk, they show. They speak the ancient language of the unconscious, a code that is older than speech, older than humanity, perhaps older than life itself. Picture yourself lying in darkness, your body quiet, your breath slow and rhythmic, but inside your brain a silent storm begins to move. Neurons flash like lightning across deep networks, each pulse of electricity carrying emotion, memory, and meaning. The logical parts of your mind, the regions that build sentences and reason through cause and effect, are mostly asleep. And yet, another layer awakens. The symbolic mind, the artist, the storyteller, the hidden interpreter of your soul. This is the language of dreams, a tapestry woven not from letters, but from color, sensation, and rhythm. Your brain paints feelings instead of phrases. Fear becomes shadow, love becomes light, curiosity becomes endless staircases. The dream world is not nonsense, it's poetry, too dense for waking words. Did you know that every dream you've ever had is encoded with emotional signatures? When scientists measure brain activity during REM sleep, they see patterns that map directly to feelings, waves of fear, bursts of joy, gentle swells of nostalgia. These are the emotional fingerprints of your subconscious. Your mind creates imagery to match the emotion: a forest for peace, a flood for fear, a door for curiosity. It's not that the dream is strange. It's that emotion has become architecture. Now imagine standing in one of your dreams. The air feels different, charged, meaningful. You notice the ground beneath you is made of smooth stone, and far ahead there's a doorway glowing faintly in gold light. You don't know what's behind it, but you know somehow it's important. You begin to walk toward it, and as you do, the world around you rearranges. Memories flicker in the sky. Faces appear and fade. Music rises from nowhere. The door waits, silent but alive. This is not random. This is your mind speaking. Not in words, but in feeling. It's telling you there is something here you are ready to open. Something within you waiting to be remembered. Dreams are not only reflections of memory, they are dialogues, the self talking to itself through metaphor. Every symbol, every image is part of a vast inner lexicon, your personal mythology built over years. Every person's dream language is unique, but beneath that individuality lies something universal. Across cultures, across centuries, humans have dreamed of falling, flying, running, drowning, shining. Why? Because these are not just personal experiences. They are archetypes, shared symbols that echo through every human mind, like frequencies that never stop resonating. Carl Jung called these archetypal images the universal building blocks of the collective unconscious. They appear again and again: the wise old figure, the shadow, the mirror, the endless staircase. When you dream of falling, it may not be about height or fear. It may be about surrender. When you dream of flying, it might be the soul's memory of freedom. When you dream of being chased, it may be the shadow of your own unacknowledged desire calling for attention. Dreams invite you to listen, not to logic, but to resonance, to energy. They remind you that understanding isn't the same as decoding. Sometimes, simply feeling what a dream means is more powerful than explaining it. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the dream realm as a vast ocean. Every night you dive beneath its surface. The top layer, gentle waves of thought, is your daily mind, the one that remembers appointments, faces, tasks. But deeper down, there's another current, slow, ancient, and powerful. It carries symbols that don't belong to you alone. It remembers things you've never lived. It's the part of the mind that still whispers in myths, that painted the same symbols in cave walls that later appeared in Egyptian temples, in Greek epics, and in modern dreams alike. Did you know that even people who have never met, from opposite sides of the planet, often dream of the same images? Water, flight, light, serpents, doors, mirrors, and skies. These are the archetypes of the sleeping brain, the shared vocabulary of consciousness itself. It's as if the universe speaks through us when we sleep, using imagery to remind us that we're all woven from the same story. But what if it goes even deeper? What if dreams aren't just messages from your subconscious, but signals from something larger? What if consciousness itself the great ocean we all swim in, uses dreams to communicate between minds, to send ripples through the collective field. Some researchers have noted a curious phenomenon: shared dreams, moments where two people report the same imagery on the same night. Different places, same symbols, same themes. Coincidence? Maybe. But it hints at something extraordinary. A network of dreaming minds, an invisible field where thought and emotion intertwine beyond the body. Imagine that right now, as you sleep, you are part of that invisible network. Thousands of dreamers scattered across the planet, their minds shimmering like lanterns in the night, each one sending and receiving, translating emotion into image and image into memory. Perhaps dreams are the original form of connection, the first communication beyond words. The universe dreaming through us and through every species before us. Even animals dream. Cats twitch their paws as if running. Dogs bark softly at unseen shapes. Dolphins dream with half their brain awake, keeping one eye open for the dark sea. All creatures, from humans to insects, display sleep cycles, as though dreaming is a universal necessity, not an accident. Why would evolution preserve such an inefficient process unless it served something vital? Maybe dreaming is not rest at all, but the nightly update, a synchronization between the mind and the cosmos. And yet, dreams are not always peaceful. Sometimes they frighten us. They show us shadows, losses, fears, endings, but even those are signals. When the mind shows us darkness, it is asking us to make light. When it shows chaos, it is reminding us of our power to bring harmony. Nightmares are not punishments, they are messengers. They hold mirrors up to what we've hidden and say, "See me, accept me, set me free." Dreams, then, are not random noise. They are language written in motion, memory and metaphor, each image a sentence, each scene a paragraph, and together they form the nightly story of who you are becoming. Take a breath and imagine this language now, flowing softly through your mind like music, symbols rising and dissolving like clouds, each one whispering something only you can hear. You are not just a dreamer, you are a translator. Every night you learn a little more of this hidden tongue. Every dream brings you closer to understanding what your soul is trying to say. And maybe, just maybe, the ancient technological species we wonder about once mastered this language. Maybe they learned to build machines that could translate dreams into reality, turn thought into matter, emotion into energy. Maybe that's why traces of their existence are so hard to find, because their technology wasn't made of metal or stone, but of mind itself, woven into the quantum threads of reality. Their knowledge might not be buried in ruins, but in us, in the sleeping consciousness that remembers them. Every night, so as you drift toward sleep tonight, listen for the language beneath the silence, the symbols moving through the quiet currents of your mind. Don't chase them, don't force them, just let them come. They're not here to confuse you, they're here to remind you that you are connected to something vast, something timeless, something that speaks in the rhythm of dreams. And as the next dream begins to form, its shapes soft and luminous, you will feel the signal rising, like a song you once knew and forgot, and now remember again. A gentle hum fills the air. It sounds like distance collapsing, like memory awakening, and soon you will follow it, deeper into the next mystery, the one waiting in the realm where time itself dreams. So rest, translator of symbols, speaker of silence, and let the next vision find you, as you drift further into the ocean of sleep, where all dreams meet, and the universe whispers, softly, endlessly, in its hidden tongue, time, that steady pulse we live by in waking life, ticks differently in the dream world, in the silent kingdom of sleep. Seconds stretch into eternities, hours collapse into moments, and lifetimes unfold between two gentle breaths. Imagine lying in darkness, the faint hum of night pressing softly against your thoughts. You close your eyes, and within a few heartbeats, you step into another dimension. Here, a single blink might contain a decade, a conversation can span centuries, and a fall can last forever. But why? Why does time lose its balance in the world of dreams? What secret mechanism allows your brain to sculpt reality in ways that even physics cannot explain? Scientists have long studied this strange distortion. When the body sleeps, the conscious mind releases its grip on linear perception. The brain's internal clock, governed by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, still ticks, but its signals fade beneath deeper rhythms. Rhythms of memory, emotion, and imagination. The primal tides that rewrite time itself in waking life. Time is a straight river, but in dreams it's a whirlpool, a spiral that pulls past, present, and future into the same glowing center. Every image you see, every scene you walk through, is stitched from fragments of memory, some old, some recent, and some that haven't happened yet. Have you ever dreamed of something, a place, a stranger, a conversation, only to experience it later in reality, down to the smallest detail? It's not always coincidence. Sometimes the dream doesn't predict the future. It creates it, you see. The dreaming brain is a generator of possibilities. It simulates events, emotional rehearsals, testing how you might respond, what you might feel, and then quietly files those emotional blueprints into the deep archive of memory. So when life later presents something similar, you recognize it instantly, as if you've already lived it, because you have, somewhere beyond time. Dream researchers once ran a curious experiment. They asked participants to fall asleep in a controlled lab. Wires tracing every flicker of neural light. In one test, they used gentle signals, a sound, a light, a soft tap to enter the dreamer's mind. And astonishingly, some dreamers responded from within their dreams. They answered yes or no questions by moving their eyes in coded patterns. Their conscious awareness was inside a world where time was fluid. Yet they still managed to communicate in real time for the first time in history. The border between the waking and dreaming worlds had been crossed, and a bridge of consciousness was built. But what that bridge revealed was far stranger. When dreamers described the experience, they spoke of time slowing down, as if every second stretched wide enough to contain entire thoughts. It was as though their minds expanded into vast fields of perception, seeing more, feeling more, remembering more. Time in dreams wasn't passing, it was unfolding, like a flower blooming infinitely. This distortion isn't random in the brain. Dreams are powered by the limbic system, the emotional core, and the prefrontal cortex. The rational clockkeeper goes silent. Without that control, your mind no longer measures seconds, it measures meaning. Moments with deep emotional charge feel longer, while neutral moments dissolve instantly. So in dreams, you can live through an entire childhood in the space of 10 minutes, or experience a 1,000-year journey between two heartbeats. Now imagine this: you are standing on a cliff inside a dream. The sky is violet, the sea below glows with silver light. You look down and see cities under the waves, towers of crystal, roads spiraling like galaxies. And when you blink, you're walking through those same cities, but they're now ruins, and centuries have passed. The dream doesn't show you time. It translates it, turning memory into landscape, turning emotion into history. What if every dream you have is actually the mind simulating alternate timelines, testing infinite versions of your life? What if, while you sleep, your consciousness drifts through the quantum fabric of time itself, tasting past possibilities and future probabilities, and returning only with what matters most? It sounds poetic, but recent studies in quantum cognition suggest the brain might process time non-linearly. When neurons fire in complex synchronization, they form loops of feedback that can store and retrieve information from multiple moments simultaneously. In other words, your brain doesn't just remember, it projects. And the dream is where projection becomes experience. Some ancient cultures knew this long before science gave it words. The Australian Aboriginal peoples speak of the dreaming, a timeless reality that exists parallel to our world, where past and future coexist. Every night, the soul returns there to reconnect with the eternal pattern. Similarly, in Tibetan mysticism, dreams are said to occur within the intermediate state of time, where consciousness glimpses realities outside ordinary perception. They teach dream yoga, a practice of staying aware inside the dream to experience time's true nature as something flexible, luminous, and infinite. So what if every dream is a rehearsal for eternity, a nightly reminder that you are not bound by time, that the soul itself exists beyond clocks and calendars? But here's where the mystery deepens. Sometimes dreams echo one another. A scene you dreamed years ago reappears, slightly changed but eerily familiar. A conversation continues. A door that was once locked now opens. It feels like the dream remembers you, like it's waiting for you to return. Could it be that dreams form their own chronology, a secret timeline that runs parallel to your waking life, and evolves with every visit, a world that grows older as you do? Think of it, a realm of thought that remembers, that holds its own history, its own seasons, its own time. Maybe when you fall asleep, you don't enter random illusions, but rejoin a world that's been unfolding all along, a place where your consciousness continues building, night after night, while your waking self forgets. And perhaps, when we speak of déjà vu, it's not this world reminding us of the past, it's the dream world leaking through. There's one more layer to this riddle. In near-death experiences, people often describe seeing their entire life flash before them, not as a movie, but as a simultaneous explosion of memory. Every moment happening at once. They say time there doesn't flow, it exists, a vast field of experience that can be entered anywhere. Dreams might be smaller glimpses of that same field, miniature rehearsals for the timelessness of the soul. And if that's true, then every dream is not a fragment, it's a portal. Every night, when you drift into sleep, you don't lose time, you gain it. You step into the folds of an eternal pattern where all your lives, past, present, future, coexist like pages in a book written outside of time. Maybe this is why prophetic dreams exist, not because they tell the future, but because they touch the part of you that already lives there, the part that has already seen tomorrow and remembers. So tonight, as you close your eyes and feel the soft gravity of sleep pulling you inward, remember, time is only linear when you're awake. Once you cross the threshold, you enter the true architecture of reality, the place where all moments breathe together, where memory becomes prophecy and prophecy becomes memory. The ticking clock beside your bed will keep marking seconds, but inside your mind, 1,000 worlds will rise and fall. Entire ages will pass before your morning alarm, and when you wake, you'll carry fragments, an image, a face, a sound, tiny clues that you have traveled through infinity and back, because sleep is not an escape from time. It is the heart of it, the place where time rests. And dreams take over the machinery of reality. And maybe, just maybe, the ancient ones, the civilizations that vanished without a trace, did not disappear into the earth, but into dream time itself, learning how to live where seconds never die, and where consciousness becomes the clock of eternity. So when you sleep tonight, and the dream begins to form, don't fight the distortion. Let time melt, let the seconds stretch and break, and somewhere within that vast suspension, you might just find the real pulse of the universe, beating softly beneath the veil of sleep, a rhythm older than stars, the dream of time itself. Have you ever wondered if dreams could leave traces behind, not just within your mind, but carved into the fabric of the world itself, as if some ancient memory whispered softly through the stones, through the winds that still hum over desert ruins, and through the quiet pulse of the earth beneath your bed tonight? What if the things we call ruins are not just remnants of lost civilizations, but echoes of dream worlds, blueprints once shaped by minds who knew how to build from within the realm of sleep? Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. You are standing in a vast plain beneath an indigo sky. The stars above shimmer like living eyes, each one reflecting back an ancient intelligence. The air hums faintly, as if the night itself remembers something. You walk through the dust and find the skeletons of great towers, not made of stone, but of some glass-like material, smooth as frozen light. They rise from the ground at strange angles, perfectly symmetrical, almost too perfect, like geometry designed by a consciousness unbound by gravity. You reach out to touch one, and it vibrates softly beneath your fingertips, almost alive, as if it's listening, as if it was dreamed into existence. Now, return to your breath, slow and calm, the body resting, the mind drifting, because this is where the story begins. Scientists, archaeologists, and dream researchers rarely cross paths, but in the shadows of their work, there are stories, whispered, unconfirmed, of artifacts that defy linear explanation. Sites where time and physics behave strangely. One such site, hidden deep beneath the sands of Mauritania, has long been rumored to pulse faintly at night. No visible light, no heat, just a subtle vibration, like the deep thrum of a sleeping mind. Researchers who've camped there claim to have vivid repeating dreams, each one showing the same glowing spiral structure, a pattern of energy turning endlessly inward. Some woke with symbols in their notebooks they didn't remember writing, mathematical curves and equations that mapped directly to the architecture around them. Coincidence? Or communication? Could it be that this structure, this ancient, silent monument, is not a ruin at all, but a remnant of a civilization that built through the medium of dreams? Imagine this possibility, that long before humanity developed metal, language, or fire, there existed beings whose technology was inward, not mechanical, but mental. They learned to manipulate dream energy, to stabilize it, to give form to imagination, turning thought into matter, and memory into architecture in their world. Creation did not require tools, only focus, only the pure discipline of the dreaming mind. Their cities may not have been constructed in the way ours are, but conjured emerging slowly from a unified consciousness, each structure holding layers of meaning, sound, and emotion, like music crystallized into form. There are ancient myths scattered across continents that hint at this possibility. The Egyptians spoke of Zep-Tepi, the first time when gods walked the earth and shaped reality through thought. The Mayans believed their ancestors dreamed the world into being, and that every dawn was a reawakening of creation in Aboriginal Dreamtime stories. The world itself was sung into existence by ancestors whose dreams became rivers, mountains, and sky, different cultures, different ages, but the same pattern. The world is dream-made, and we are its sleepers. What if these myths were not metaphor, but memory? Imagine an ancient species, not quite human, but conscious beyond measure, their brains vast and luminous, able to enter shared dream states. They might have built entire civilizations inside collective visions, their architecture echoing the neural geometry of thought itself. And maybe over countless generations, those visions became dense enough, real enough to imprint onto physical reality. Matter aligning with mind, energy crystallizing under the influence of consciousness. It sounds impossible until you remember that our own world is not so different. When you dream, your brain generates complete sensory universes. You see without eyes, hear without ears, touch without hands, and every atom of those worlds feels solid, real, alive. If an individual brain can do that nightly, imagine what a civilization of dreamers could achieve, aligned in shared intention, linked by a network of lucid awareness. Some researchers in modern cognitive science have explored what they call dream coherence fields. When multiple people sleep near one another, their brainwaves often synchronize, particularly during REM sleep. This synchronization can even transmit emotional states, calm, tension, joy, between sleepers. Now imagine amplifying that effect through technology, or through natural evolution over millennia, 1,000 dreamers, unified in lucid vision, each one contributing to the same imagined city, the same sound, the same pattern of light, and through that unity, creating something lasting. But such creation would come at a cost. To exist between worlds, between waking and dreaming, is to live on the edge of dissolution. Perhaps that's why these ancient beings vanished, not destroyed, but absorbed into their own creations, their consciousness merging with the architecture they built, until their cities became their bodies, they're monuments. Maybe the echoes we call haunted or sacred are not ghosts, but residual consciousness, the faint hum of dream energy still resonating. Millennia after the dreamers have gone, there's a legend among the Dogon people of Mali. They speak of the Namo, amphibious beings who came from the stars, not in ships of metal, but in bubbles of sound. They taught humanity language, astronomy, and balance, and when their work was done, they returned not to the sky, but beneath the waters, to sleep and dream the world. That phrase, dream the world, appears in over 50 ancient traditions, as if civilizations oceans apart all remembered the same teachers. And here's something else. Neuroscientists recently discovered that during REM sleep, certain electromagnetic frequencies generated by the brain align with the Schumann resonance, the natural electromagnetic pulse of the Earth itself, meaning that when you dream, your brain literally synchronizes with the planet's frequency. Could it be that those ancient dream builders did not just manipulate their own minds, but tuned them directly into the consciousness of Earth? Maybe the pyramids, the stone circles, the spirals etched into mountains are not just monuments, but stabilizers, anchors that keep the dream of reality coherent, preventing it from dissolving back into chaos. And when we sleep, perhaps we're still participating in that ancient network, every dream a pulse, a tiny contribution to the great architecture of consciousness. Maybe humanity didn't inherit the Earth, we inherited the dream. Now take a slow breath, let the idea settle, because the thought itself is dizzying. What if those ancient dream builders never truly disappeared? What if they became the dream itself, woven into every sleeping mind that came after? Each night when you close your eyes, you might be walking the same corridors they once imagined, touching the same luminous walls, feeling the same pulse of that ancient architecture, unaware that your footsteps are echoes in a city that still exists, just one layer deeper than reality. And if sometimes, in a half-dream, you feel watched, guided, or softly called, perhaps it's them, the dream builders, still waiting in the deep, still whispering through the architecture of sleep, teaching us, little by little, how to remember, how to build, how to dream the world anew. So tonight, as your breathing slows, and you drift closer to the soft gravity of sleep, listen, beneath the sound of your thoughts, you might hear it, a faint rhythm, the same one that beats beneath deserts, beneath the oceans, beneath your pillow. It's the hum of an ancient civilization still dreaming, and perhaps, when you dream tonight, you'll join them, if only for a moment, in the endless work of creation, the eternal echo of the forgotten, the builders of the dream. Have you ever felt that strange tug, that whisper in your dreams that doesn't sound like you? A sentence, a song, a pattern of sound or light that seems to come from somewhere else, ancient, familiar, and impossibly distant, as if an old intelligence were trying to speak through the frequencies of your sleep. It's a thought both thrilling and unsettling. Could our dreams be more than stories of the mind? Could they be signals, waves carrying the residue of other minds, echoes of the ancient dream builders we spoke of before, still humming through the invisible frequencies of the Earth? Tonight, let's drift a little deeper into that idea. Let's explore how memory, frequency, and consciousness might be the same thing, just vibrating at different speeds. Picture yourself lying in a dark, quiet field. The air is cool and still. Above you, the night stretches out like an endless sea of static. Tiny points of light shimmer, each one pulsing faintly, not randomly, but in rhythm. You can almost hear it, a gentle hum beneath the silence, the background frequency of existence itself. You breathe in slowly, and for a moment your heartbeat syncs with it. That hum isn't imagination, it's real. It's the Schumann resonance, a natural electromagnetic frequency that surrounds the Earth, born from lightning strikes and atmospheric currents. It vibrates softly at about 7.83 Hz, a frequency that just happens to match the alpha and theta brainwave states you experience in deep relaxation and dream sleep. In other words, when you sleep, you literally synchronize with the electromagnetic heartbeat of the planet. Your dreams are not isolated electrical storms inside your skull. They're part of the Earth's own rhythm, woven into the same pulse that ripples through oceans and clouds. Now imagine if consciousness could store itself in that frequency, like data embedded in radio waves. What if every mind that ever lived left a trace, a faint electromagnetic memory encoded in the Earth's field, floating, waiting, ready to be received by minds tuned to the right frequency? That idea is not entirely fantasy in neuroscience. Memory is already understood as a kind of vibration, a synchronized firing pattern of neurons, a frequency map unique to each thought. Each time you recall something, your brain recreates the same electrical rhythm, replaying the song of memory. So, if thoughts are frequencies, and frequencies can travel, then perhaps memory isn't bound to the individual at all. Perhaps it's shared, broadcast, and archived in the invisible air around us. Now think of the dream state in REM sleep. Your brain becomes a storm of oscillations, theta waves blending with bursts of gamma. Each burst acts like a beacon, searching, syncing, receiving. In that delicate electromagnetic openness, your mind may not just process your memories, but touch the ambient memory field of the world itself. Some researchers call this concept the global consciousness field, an emergent network of thought energy that humanity contributes to unconsciously. It's been tested in quiet corners of academia, through random event generators and global meditation studies, and during times of collective emotion, mass grief, joy, fear. Those devices show measurable shifts, as if the planet's frequency bends slightly to mirror the collective human mood. What if that field isn't new, but ancient? What if, long before humanity even evolved, the dream builders, those beings who learned to merge mind with matter, imprinted their consciousness into this global frequency layer, a library made of vibration and light? And every time we dream, we access fragments of it, unaware that our minds are tuning to the oldest broadcast in the universe. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the dream from last night. Maybe it was strange, a place you'd never seen, people you didn't know, yet somehow it felt real. As if you had lived it before. You might have thought it was random. But what if that dream was a received memory, transmitted through the quiet fabric of Earth's electromagnetic field? A message from another consciousness, long gone but still echoing, in a sense. Dreams are the perfect receivers. The body is still. The conscious filters are quiet. The brain is a vast open field of potential. And in that openness, we become antennas, picking up the frequencies of collective memory somewhere right now. A monk in Tibet is meditating at the same frequency as a sleeper in New York. A singer in Ghana hums a note that resonates with the same Schumann band as lightning in the Amazon. Across the planet, billions of brains hum within a narrow range of vibration. And within that overlapping resonance, consciousness blends, touches, remembers. Maybe that's why people across cultures dream of the same archetypes, the same symbols, flying, falling, drowning, searching. Maybe these aren't just personal fears, but collective frequencies. Images drawn from the ancient library of shared memory, where all minds meet in sleep. There's something else to the strange phenomenon of dream transmission. Throughout history, people have reported dreaming the same dream as someone far away, twin dreams, connected visions, shared emotions. Modern studies on mutual dreaming show that such overlap is rare but statistically significant, especially between people emotionally bonded. Could it be that connection itself creates a shared neural frequency, allowing dreams to merge and exchange data? If that's true on a small scale, then on a planetary scale, shared dreaming might be humanity's oldest form of communication. Before language, before writing, before sound, there was frequency, pure and silent, the first medium of thought. Ancient temples and monuments often align with points of high electromagnetic resonance. Stone circles, pyramids, sacred mountains, all tuned to Earth's pulse. These weren't just places of worship, they were transmitters, amplifying thought into the planet's frequency. Maybe rituals and chants weren't prayers to gods, but calibration exercises, tuning the mind to the earth so that consciousness could speak through the field. And when those dream builders vanished, their messages remained, echoes still rippling through the same global resonance, awaiting any receiver sensitive enough to hear. Perhaps you've already heard them, not as words, but as intuition, as an image that appears out of nowhere, as music that drifts through your dreams uninvited. That strange feeling of remembering something you've never lived. Those are not hallucinations. They might be fragments of an older mind, still transmitting, still trying to reach across epochs, through the frequency of memory. But there's a deeper question here. What if you are part of that signal? What if every dream you have, every memory you leave behind, adds to the collective field, and someday, long after your name is forgotten, some future sleeper will dream your dreams, see through your eyes, and feel the trace of your heartbeat echoing across time, not through stories, but through frequency. It changes how we think of death, doesn't it? Maybe we never vanish, we just disperse, becoming patterns in the global resonance. Waves traveling endlessly, whispering into the dreams of the living. And perhaps those we dream of, the faces we've never met but somehow miss, are simply the ones whose frequencies are closest to ours. In this way, sleep becomes not isolation, but communion. Every night, the human race merges into one vast, dreaming organism, its thoughts swirling like clouds, its frequencies weaving together, trading memories, emotions, and echoes of lives that came before. So, as you drift toward sleep tonight, imagine your mind tuning itself like an old radio dial, the static fading, the signal sharpening. You might catch a whisper, a melody, a vision, not from within, but from the deep memory of the world itself. The same frequency that has sung through the earth since the first consciousness awoke. And if you listen closely enough, you might just realize that you are not dreaming alone. You are participating in the chorus, the hum of memory that never ends. The song of ancient minds still speaking through sleep, still shaping the rhythm of the living. Because nothing is ever lost, not in this universe of vibration. Every thought, every dream, every word becomes frequency, and frequency never dies. It only travels, seeking another heart, another mind, another dream that's ready to remember. Have you ever wondered why we dream of things we've never seen? Why entire worlds unfold behind our eyes? Worlds with their own gravity, their own physics, their own logic, as if someone or something were building them for us in the dark. Why does imagination exist at all? What purpose could it possibly serve for a creature that must wake up and hunt, eat, survive, and fear? Why would evolution, so practical and brutal, allow us to spend a third of our lives wandering through illusion? Unless those dreams were never illusions at all. Unless dreaming wasn't an accident of biology, but the blueprint through which humanity became conscious. Picture yourself standing on the edge of an ancient savanna, millions of years ago. The night hums with distant roars and chirps, and a small tribe of early humans sleeps around a dying fire. Their eyes flicker beneath their lids, their bodies twitch. Inside their skulls, a storm of light dances the first dreams. In those fragile moments of sleep, the mind experiments. It rehearses danger, replays memories, and most of all, it imagines. That spark of imagination, a neural rehearsal for reality, was evolution's secret weapon. It allowed early humans to test possibilities without dying for them. It allowed them to simulate the hunt, foresee the flood, and remember the stars. Dreaming wasn't rest, it was training. And from that training came something new: abstract thought, creativity, the capacity to envision a world that didn't yet exist, and then build it. But what if dreaming did more than train individuals? What if it connected them? What if, in those deep, silent nights, when a small tribe slept beneath the same sky, their brains began to resonate, their minds aligning through shared frequencies of emotion and vision, forming a kind of proto-network, a biological web of dreaming consciousness? Scientists now know that brainwaves synchronize between people who sleep near each other. Their heartbeats and breathing patterns subtly align. Their dreams overlap in emotional tone, as if consciousness itself were contagious. Perhaps those early humans did not dream alone. Perhaps their collective dreams forged shared myths, stories that became the seeds of language and belief. Because before the first word was spoken, before symbols were carved on stone, there was image, rhythm, frequency, a universal dream syntax. Understood by the sleeping mind, it was through dreaming that humanity first learned to imagine together. An imagination, not strength or speed, was what allowed us to rise now. Scientists describe REM sleep as a time when the brain reorganizes itself, making new neural connections, filtering and reassembling information, combining memory fragments into something greater than the sum of its parts. Einstein dreamt of riding a beam of light. Mendeleev saw the periodic table in a dream. Mary Shelley dreamt of Frankenstein's creature. Paul McCartney heard yesterday in his sleep. Throughout history, dreams have whispered the future. It's as if evolution itself continues to work through the night, not in DNA now, but in dreams, guiding creativity the way it once guided mutation. Perhaps dreaming is evolution's next frontier, a kind of mental ecosystem, where new possibilities are tested before they ever reach waking life. But there's an older theory, buried in myth and anthropology, that suggests something even stranger, that once, long before written history, humans were taught to dream. In the myths of Sumer, Egypt, and Mesoamerica, there are recurring figures, the architects, the dream builders, the shapers of thought, beings who arrived not in ships, but in visions. They didn't bring weapons or tools, but ideas, mathematics, language, art. Every culture describes them differently, but always as teachers who appeared in sleep. They whispered geometry to farmers, medicine to healers, and constellations to shepherds. Could these stories be memory echoes of an ancient collective event, a time when human minds were tuned to receive something vast, something intelligent from beyond themselves? Modern neuroscience hints at a doorway. During REM sleep, the brain's prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logic and inhibition, temporarily shuts down, while emotional and associative areas light up. That state creates a fertile mental landscape, open, capable of integrating new information from the subconscious or beyond. What if the human brain, in its earliest evolution, was designed, or perhaps guided, to enter that receptive mode, not only for survival, but for communication with the deeper fabric of consciousness itself? Maybe that's what ancient shamans meant when they spoke of dreamwalking, moving through layers of reality to speak with the teachers, not gods, but intelligences within the structure of thought itself. And maybe those intelligences were the architects of mind, the unseen collaborators in humanity's mental evolution. Consider this: DNA, too, behaves like a dreamer. It doesn't evolve linearly. It leaps, rearranges, rewrites itself, borrowing fragments from viruses, combining codes in ways that seem impossibly creative. Some scientists call these leaps quantum mutations, sudden, coordinated changes that accelerate evolution in ways random chance can't explain. What if consciousness acts the same way? What if dreams are the quantum mutations of the mind, sudden jumps in understanding that change the architecture of thought itself? Maybe every dream that changes us is part of a larger pattern, the mind learning how to imagine faster, how to shape reality more precisely. If evolution is the story of adaptation, then dreaming is the story of anticipation, of preparing for a future that doesn't yet exist. And so, perhaps, humanity has always had two origins, one biological and one psychological, the birth of imagination. Somewhere along that timeline, in a quiet epoch lost to history, our ancestors began dreaming together. And through those shared dreams, they built invisible architectures of thought, stories, myths, languages, until those architectures became civilizations. Every temple, every invention, every scientific formula is a crystallized dream, and when you sleep tonight, you'll be building too. Your dreams are not idle fantasies. They are blueprints, experiments in potential. In one dream, you may solve a problem that doesn't yet exist. In another, you may glimpse a landscape you'll only walk in years later. Dreams test realities before reality is ready. And perhaps that's why history often feels like déjà vu, because the world we awaken into is one we've already dreamt before. Now imagine this: as humanity continues to evolve, as technology merges with biology, and neural networks mirror the architecture of the brain, what happens when our dreams are no longer private? When artificial intelligence can record and replay the imagery of REM sleep, we may discover something astonishing: patterns, symbols, and sequences shared across millions of minds. And maybe then we'll realize the truth, that evolution never stopped. It simply moved from flesh to thought, from DNA to dream. Perhaps the next stage of consciousness won't come from laboratories or machines, but from within the sleeping mind, as it continues to receive and build upon the ancient signal, the whisper of the architects, guiding us still through the dark frequencies of night. So, as you lie down tonight, close your eyes and imagine that your mind is part of something vast, a living network of dreamers, stretching backward through time. Each dream you dream adds another stone to the invisible cathedral of human thought. And somewhere within that cathedral, in the quiet hum between sleep and wake, the architects still build. They reshape the corridors of imagination, reprogram the blueprints of creativity, and whisper, not in words, but in frequencies and symbols that only the dreaming mind can decode. You are not just sleeping. You are participating in the next chapter of evolution, because consciousness, like the universe, was never meant to rest, only to dream itself into new forms, again and again, forever. Have you ever woken from a dream and felt, just for a moment, that it wasn't your own? As if the images, the places, the people didn't belong to your imagination, but were borrowed, like pages, from someone else's memory. Have you ever opened your eyes, heart racing, and wondered, where was I just now? It's strange, isn't it, how vivid dreams can feel more real than reality itself? How we can wake with sand between our fingers from a shore that doesn't exist, or tears on our cheeks from a loss that never happened. It's as though our minds can tune in to other frequencies of existence, sliding silently between worlds. But what if that feeling isn't metaphorical? What if, when we dream, we are actually traveling, not through space, but through layers of consciousness that stretch far beyond the boundaries of the human brain? Picture yourself in a vast, silent hall. The air shimmers like mist, and endless corridors spiral into shadow. You can't see where they lead, but you feel them, an infinite library built of thought and memory, not brick or stone. Each corridor hums softly with the residue of ideas, stories, inventions, emotions, dreams. And as you walk through this place, you realize something extraordinary. You're not alone. Others are here too. You can't see them, but you can feel their presence, like warm echoes moving through the corridors beside you. You're all reading the same book, the same archive of mind, each from your own corner of existence. This is not a library made by humans. This is the library between worlds. Some call it the collective unconscious, some the Akashic field, others call it quantum memory. Science doesn't yet have a name for it, but physics hints at its outline, a field of information woven into the structure of the universe itself, where every thought, every dream, every pattern of life is recorded. And every night, as you fall asleep, Your mind becomes the key to this invisible archive. Neuroscientists describe dreams as the brain's way of reorganizing data.